Hey, Dr. V, it's Jessica Prey. I'm here to do the assignment on the technology terminology for Module 2. I am going to pretend that you are a fourth grader at St. George, so that way I can use this for them in the future so that they can understand some of the technology terms that they may come across. So I hope you enjoy. All right, class, today we're going to be talking about technology terminology. Many of y'all use technology here at school, at home, at the library, a lot of different places. So I figured now would be a good time to be familiar with some of the words, understand what they are and how they work. So our first part of our lesson today is going to be on networking and connectivity. And we're going to go over some terms. I want you to be thinking about these terms as I say them, so that when we come across them in the lesson, you can add to our lesson through discussion about what you already know about them and just give us some of the ideas about what you think about them. So the first word is networking. Then we have wireless networks, cable modem, file transfer protocol, digital subscriber line, DSL, integrated services digital network, ISDN, internet service provider, ISP, work group, local area network, a LAN, wide area network, a WAN, and network interface. So those are our words. We're going to go ahead and get started. And our first word that we're going to get started with today is a network. Before we can actually understand what networking is, we have to understand what a network is. So what do you notice about this picture? Yes, they're all connected. Now what do you notice about this picture? The computer is connected to the printer. That's correct. A network is the same way. It's the wired or wireless connection between any technology device, such as a computer, printer, iPad, etc., the internet, modems, routers, servers, switches, and Wi-Fi. So it's the connection between all technology, how it works, how information gets from place to place. That is what a network is. Now, networking is the exact same thing. It's just the process of connecting wires or wired devices, wired or wireless devices to each other, to the internet, modems, routers, servers, switches, and Wi-Fi. So right here, you'll see this man right here. He is networking. He is connecting the wires to the server, which is probably then being connected to the internet or to routers or computers and things like that. And then you can see in this diagram, it shows you exactly how networking works. So you have your desktops, and they might be connected to a switch, and that switch is connected to the server, which allows you to get some files and resources at a location that you're located at. The switch may also be connected to the router, which is then connected to the modem, which is connected to the internet. So that's how you get the internet all the way down to these desktop PCs down here. Then you might have a workstation that's connected to the router and the modem, and then you have all of these devices over here. And I want you to continue to look at these little devices over here for our next word. Our next word is a wireless network. So what do you notice is the difference between these two pictures? Right. In this picture, the little boy is having to use a wire to connect the printer to the computer. And in this picture, you just have the phone being connected to the printer wirelessly without a wire. So a wireless network is a network that does not use cables of any kind to connect a device. What are some wireless devices that you use? We use our computers or our Chromebooks. That's correct. We can use them at home, at school, wherever. We use our tablets. That's another one. Yes. And we use our cell phones. While there's many other wireless devices, wireless has pretty much taken over lately, and we use them in our every single day lives. So we are very thankful to have a wireless network. Our next word is a cable modem. A cable modem is a piece of equipment that connects you to your cable company's internet through the use of a coaxial cable. So let's get some of those terms together. So this is the modem. The modem usually is given to you by your cable company, and it is connected through this thing called a coaxial cable. So you hook it up right there and you kind of twist it, and then you twist the other end to the cable that is at the other end of the wall. So you're able to connect it to the wall, and then this little thing is connected through wires, and then these wires go to your cable company. So if you look at this little diagram, it explains it a little bit more in detail than what Ms. Prey just did. So let's say here's the internet. The internet's really big. The cable company has access to the internet. They come out to your house. They give you a modem whenever they're connecting it. Here's the little modem over here, but the cable company gives it to you. They run the internet through their wires. They can be in the ground or above the ground. And it's connected to the wall right here. So then you use that cable, coaxial cable, to connect it to the wall to get the access from the cable company. And then you use your cable modem that's set up with the internet. So it's what connects you to the internet through the cable company. And then you use something called an Ethernet cord to connect it to your PC. So that's what a cable modem is. Then we have file transfer protocol. And I'll admit, this is one Ms. Prey was not very familiar with whenever she first saw it. So a file transfer protocol is a system of rules that acts as a vehicle to transport data on a network. So it's how the files are exchanged from one computer to another over a network such as the internet. So let me draw this out for y'all, because I think if I draw it, y'all will have a little bit better understanding. So I'm going to transfer my computer into a tablet, so just give me a sec. All right, so let's say Miss Prey made a test, and she was at her house on her computer. I'm going to get the pen size a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. There we go. So I'm at my house, and I'm making a test at my house on my computer. And then Miss Dirks is way over here at her house on her computer. And there's a road. We got to go down Segan to get to her house. So if I am working on the test over at my house, Miss Prey's house, Miss Dirks' house, and I want to get that test from Miss Prey's house to Miss Dirks' house, I would use something called file transfer protocol. And file transfer protocol acts like a car. It's going to transfer those files from my house to Miss Prey's house. And so it's a way of getting the files from one computer to another. Now, when Miss Dirks reads it and finds all those mistakes that Miss Prey made on that test, because y'all know Miss Prey made a typo, then she's going to use file transfer protocol again to get it back to my house. So file transfer protocol is just like the car. It's what the computer uses to get things from place to place. Got it? Good. All right, so let's go back to our PowerPoint. And move on. We're going to move on to a digital subscriber line, DSL. Digital subscriber lines are how a device connects to the internet using a high-speed connection over a telephone line. So if you look, it's very similar to the connection that a cable modem does. You have your DSL modem, which connects you to the internet. But instead of being connected through a coaxial cable, like you were with the cable, you're now connected with a phone line. So just a normal phone line. If you want to get to the internet, you can go out to Target or Walmart or whatever and get those. And then you use an Ethernet cord to connect you to your computer, just like you would any other one. So pretty simple, but it's just high-speed internet over the telephone. Then we have Integrated Digital Services Network, IDSN. Integrated Digital Services Network is used for the digital communication, video, voice, data, and other network services. It is the technology that allows you to transmit both voice and data like the internet, through a phone line at the same time. So, in the past, you could only transmit voice or data through a single line, not both. So usually households had two separate phone lines, one for their internet and one for their phone line. Now with IDSN, you can have just one, and it allows you to have one line coming into your house instead of two for each thing. Usually you would use IDSN in an area that doesn't have DSL, and it would allow it. Now, looking over here, you see this terminal adapter? This is what allows it to happen. It's what allows you to have one line instead of two. Let's say you're working on the internet and the phone rings, and you're connected through the phone line still, but this time what would happen was you could still talk on the phone, but your internet would just get a little bit slower, so it wouldn't just completely kick you off. So that is what IDSN is. Then we have internet service providers. This is one that y'all are probably very familiar with. Y'all probably heard your parents say this. It's a company that provides you access to the internet at a cost. One that y'all see all the time if you go to an LSU event is Cox. They advertise it all the time. You see the commercials on TV. They're always telling you to use their services. Then you have Xfinity. Xfinity is another one. HughesNet. HughesNet is a satellite internet service provider. It's usually for areas that don't have access to any high-speed internet at all in their area. We had it for a while at our house, and it was very, very expensive and was very, very slow. And then we have AT&T, AT&T Uverse. They finally came out, put the wires in the yard, dug up all kinds of holes, but now we have fast speed internet at our house, and we were able to get rid of that HughesNet. Cox is a cable supported internet system, so you would have a cable modem here and to get your internet. So internet service providers. Now we're going to move on to a local area network, which is a LAN. A local area network is a network of devices within a limited area. The area can be as small as one room or as big as a college campus. Right now in my house, I have a LAN set up. I have multiple computers. I have 3 or 4 computers with a bunch of tablets and a bunch of phones, and everything's connected to the internet. So it's a network of devices within a limited area. It's just my house, so that's my own individual LAN. Then we have a work group, and a work group is Microsoft's version of a local area network. So it's Microsoft's version of a LAN. It allows users and systems that are connected to have access to resources like files, system resources, and printers. So this is good for small networks like small businesses or houses when there's not very many computers. And anyone connected to the work group can share resources. So it's easy to share different files, printers, things like that on that work group. A disadvantage is the security isn't that strong. So you wouldn't want to have it on a big network where there's many computers, because then you wouldn't know who would be able to have access to your security. And everyone using it must use a username and password. So if it was in a large area, you wouldn't be able to keep up with all the changes and things like that, and so you would have to, because you would have to set up passwords and usernames. A wide area network is a WAN. It's a network of devices over a large geographical area. WANs connect multiple LANs together over a large geographical area like cities, states, and countries. So let's look at this diagram right here. We have our LAN, like my house. We have a computer here, and the modem. So we have everything connected in one. But a WAN is the connection of multiple LANs. So we have this house here, this house here, this house here, and they're all connected to the internet through this WAN, wide area network. And our last term for part 1 is our network interface, which is our software or hardware that allows a device to connect to a network. Without this network interface, the internet, we wouldn't be able to get to it. So it's what allows us in our computers, in our tablets, in our any devices to connect to a network. Now we're going to move on to part 2, which is distant learning. Distant learning is shown to you through this visual. You can see two people chatting and they're saying, hey, have you found any data for the beach erosion study? And it's direct, real time. They're responding to each other. And they're able to learn from each other from a distance. So before we begin, let's go over our terms. Our first word today is going to be instant messaging, chat, internet relay chat, whiteboarding, desktop applications sharing, voice over internet protocol, video conferencing, and computer mediated communication, CMC. Our first word is instant messaging. Instant messaging is the ability to send someone a real-time message, usually in private, but can be done in a group through an application. The exchange can go back and forth like a text message, and the message can be text, audio, or video. Instant messaging is very popular these days. It is just like text messaging, but through pretty much an app that you're able to do it. Let's watch this little video right here to give you a little bit more information about different tools that you can use to instant message. So you can see they're in New York and Paris, and they're interacting in real time. They're talking back and forth in real time. It can be voice, video, or text. FaceTime. How many of you have used FaceTime? Hangouts is the Google version of FaceTime. Very, very popular. Instant messaging is fun and easy. How many of you have instant messaged before? It's chatting. To chat means to conversate with someone. I know everyone in here knows what it means to chat because y'all love to chat. Y'all love to go back and forth and talk to each other. But on the internet, there's something called a chat room. And it's a place on the internet where individuals chat with each other, usually about a specific topic in a public setting. Many times the individuals in the chat room are strangers, so you have to be careful and you have to be responsible digital citizens when you are entering a chat room, and do not give out your personal information. Don't give out too much information to let them know where you live and what you do and how. Just don't even talk. Don't even start with that, guys. A private chat room can be created with individuals that you do know. So you can talk to your friends through a chat room, but chat rooms are usually public little areas where you can talk about specific topics. For example, let's say you go to Yahoo Chat and you want to talk about entertainment. You can click on entertainment and go to Celebrity Scoop. Ooh, y'all know Miss Frey's going to love to know what's going on with Justin Timberlake. So I would go there and I would try to find out information like what's his new song? What's his little boy dressing up for Halloween? That kind of thing. And then you would you would click on it and it would pop up like this, and you would see all the users in there, and it would tell you the topic that you're supposed to be talking about, and you would talk about it. This one right here is Yahoo Chat Help is the topic. So they're supposed to be asking about help to get when using Yahoo Chat. But as you can see, can I use this login to spy for you? You have to be very careful because people aren't always doing what they're supposed to be doing in a chat room. Next, we have Internet Relay Chat, IRC. Internet Relay Chat is a system that allows individuals to chat on the internet in the form of text. It is designed to allow people from all over the world to have group conversations, but can also be used for just two people chatting. It provides rules for chatting between clients and servers. This form of chat doesn't allow emojis, doesn't allow videos, doesn't allow pictures, doesn't allow file transfer. It is simple plain text, meaning you're using letters. That is what Internet Relay chat is. You want to use it. It's a very, very simple and reliable system for chatting, and a lot of people like to use it because it is just the most simplest form of chatting and one of the earlier forms of chatting. Whiteboarding. Whiteboarding is the process of using a space on a network that resembles a whiteboard to collaborate on topics through drawings and writings. Each person can work on the drawing or writing at the same time, usually included in video conferencing software. So if you look at this picture right here, you can see, okay, there's 4 people connected on this video conference. Here are their names. They're able to chat down here in this little thing. But let's say this man right here decided to draw this picture. Well, then this woman over here wanted to collaborate and join in, so she was able to draw here. And it's just like a real life whiteboard where there's multiple people using it, just like y'all would in this classroom. It's very effective so that if you're trying to explain something, you're able to understand what the other one is thinking and saying without having to just try to determine it through text. So that is whiteboarding for you. Very cool. A desktop application sharing. Desktop application sharing is a form of remote access tool that allows 2 or more users to share their files, desktop, or applications in real time. Look at this picture. Do y'all think that that's too many people for one computer? Yeah. This girl's trying to show them what's on her desktop, what she's got. This isn't the most effective way to show it. Now let's watch this. What if she was able to do this with her laptop?
Okay, with everyone gathered in your meeting room, it's time to get going. Take a look at the main content area. When the current presenter is ready, click the Share My Screen button, then select what you'd like to share, your desktop, Windows, or an application. Once the presenter's screen is being shared, the real work can begin. We're seeing the presenter's desktop, which means the presenter can choose whatever files or whatever application that they need to share. The real beauty is that everyone sees exactly the same thing at the same time.
Pretty cool, huh? Desktop application sharing is a very useful tool that we could use here at St. George, and I'm going to try to incorporate more in your classes because I think that you would benefit from not having to just look at your neighbor's computer as often. Our next word is Voice over Internet Protocol, VoIP. Voice over Internet Protocol is a hardware and software that allows individuals to use the Internet Protocol networks as a way to communicate with others in real time instead of using the telephone line. An advantage, it's much cheaper. If you communicate with somebody who is long distance away, you're not going to be charged. I do this with my friend Laura all the time. When we call each other, she lives in Europe, and when we call each other, we're able to talk through an internet app, and we can talk as long as we want for as long as we want because we're using our personal computers, going through the DSL or cable modem, and then using our personal computers. Video conferencing. Video conferencing is using a computer, video camera, and a network such as the internet to communicate with others in real time. It can often be recorded and referred back to later so that in case you have a conversation with somebody in a meeting, you can refer back to make sure what was said and you have that documentation. So this is kind of what video conferencing looks like. You have a lot of people together. If you can look in this setting, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 different groups of people meeting on the same topic all through the internet. So they're using video, voice to talk to each other. And our last word for this section is computer mediated communication, CMC. Computer-mediated communication is the human communication that occurs through the use of two or more networked devices. It can occur through email, instant messaging, internet relay chat, social media, etc. So all of the different ways that people can talk to each other through their devices, through the internet, or not necessarily through the internet, but through a networked device. Part 3, telecommunications. This is our last part, and it's very short, so we're almost done, class. Terms. Our first word is telecommunication. Then we have telecomputing. Telecommunications is the communication that occurs over a distance with the use of cables, telegraphs, telephones, radio, etc. It's exactly what using all these tools that we've been talking about is. It's how they communicate over a distance. So telecommunication is just that. Then we have telecomputing, which is working from home using the telephone, internet, or email, and not having to go into work. You can work from anywhere. So like this lady right here, she looks like me. She's got her kid in her lap. She's trying to do everything at home, trying to work. That's telecomputing. And then this lady, man, I wish this was me. This lady is at a coffee shop working on her computer. Telecommuting. So those are our words for today. That was it. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, call me, with whatever you feel like. Okay, Dr. V, my terms that I was not familiar with. Work group, I emailed you. I didn't know that even existed. I didn't even know that Microsoft had that. File transfer protocol, I understood that there were ways that the computers worked, but it took me a while to like kind of visualize and make it more concrete than abstract. Integrated Digital Services Network, this is one, that and Internet Relay Chat. I used them as kids and didn't even realize like that's what I was using until I read the definition. I was like, oh, well, that's why my phone did this or why my computer did this whenever I was little. And then the Internet Relay Chat, that was pretty much exactly what I grew up on, chatting. There wasn't things like emojis and videos and all that kind of stuff that we could do. So those were, I just didn't know that that's what they were called. So those are the 4 words that I was not familiar with. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it was long, but I feel like I could use this later in the future for the kids, or that my coworkers could use it in their classroom now if they even needed to. Thanks. Have a good day.